Peace is the motherboard for all human development. Without peace, we know that you cannot do anything else. Without peace, you cannot develop. Without peace, you cannot prosper. So the pursuit of peace becomes a primary objective. And that is why it is such a centerpiece in our foreign relations. In order to enable us to do this, to build the right competencies and skill sets at all levels, the IPSTC was established.
In 2008, that is when I got to be appointed as the first director of IPSTC. My vision at the time, as guided obviously by the strategic leadership here at the Defense Headquarters, was to transform. Then it was a Peace Support Training Center. It didn't have an eye in front of it. To transform the center into an international institution that was to deliver peace support operations across the entire spectrum of conflict, from early warning to post-conflict peace building.
IPSTC is an autonomous center allowed to carry out training for military, police and civilian personnel from across the Eastern Africa region. Initially, we were set up to train Kenya Defense Forces personnel deploying in peace support operations. However, in 2009, IPSTC was given a larger mandate by the merger of two main centers, what was the then International Mine Action Training Center in Embakasi and the Peace Support Training Center, which was in Karen. The two were merged to create the International Peace Support Training Center, which then began training a wider range of participants from across the Eastern Africa region.
Our vision is to continue being a center of excellence in teaching and educating strategic and operational leaders so that they can be effective in complex situations when they are deployed.
Une fois rentré au pays, je pense que les matières que nous avons vues, surtout en ce qui concerne la sécurité physique et la gestion technique des armes et des munitions, va vraiment nous aider.
We have fashioned our training to make sure that we prepare our personnel, both military, civilian and police, to handle such threats in an operational environment. So our trainings are mostly in disaster management, peace support operations, and counter IED, that is counter improvised explosive devices courses, as well as mine action. The Amani PSO village is a training facility that we have. It gives the trainees a setting of a peace operation environment.
Now the practical part of the course was the most interesting one. Was when you go to HPSS, there you have a model village. It is like a real village in a real area of operation where you have conflicts and you have peace support operation mission there. You see as if you are in a real situation in a mission. Those, to me, were very good experiences. It brought me into that real scenario to really understand the operations of peacekeeping.
Research will keep us up to speed with the new dynamics, the new happenings out there. So research is the linkage between what is actual on ground and what we can teach within our curricula to be able to have people who will be able to get out there and be deployed within the peace operations and peace support spectrum, as it were. PSRD actually is the platform through which the IPSTC is able to have its linkages with institutions, the academia, with international organizations and other NGOs.
IPSTC now has become a part of the National Defense University. Research is critically important because the security environment has evolved drastically over the last 10 years or so. And therefore, IPSTC must establish a stronger research capacity, must leverage on the linkages between itself and the National Defense University, the Center for Strategic Studies, must also link up with organizations that do research. Research is critical because it will feed into your training programs.
IPSTC has a very strong gender policy, and our policy focuses on three things. One is building capacity within the center to be able to deliver gender-related training and to be sensitive to gender issues. Secondly, our training must be gender mainstreamed. We must address issues of gender as IPSTC. And thirdly, we must endeavor to increase the participants who come into the center who are female and can contribute towards these support operations.
For a female soldier like me, it's something very good because it has increased my knowledge. When I go back to Uganda, I feel I can also train my fellow female soldiers to be strong as male soldiers, not to fear anything. It will help me to train them. It will help me to encourage them to do what men can do.
We have trained participants from 188 of the 195 countries in the world. Most of our courses have at least one international facilitator, and we've been delighted to be able to welcome back, in some cases, people we've trained ourselves. Our outlook is international, and it is here to provide training, education and research for peace support operations throughout the African continent and indeed the world.
La transmission, elle est très bonne, d'autant plus que les instructeurs se sont arrangés parce qu'au fait, nous sommes deux groupes. Il y a des anglophones, il y a des francophones. Les instructeurs se sont arrangés à transmettre toute la matière dans ces deux langues. Nous sommes très satisfaits.
Denmark has what we call a peace and stabilization program. It's a whole of government program where we work within the interface of development and stabilization efforts. And here we have some very important and close partners. Since 2013, we have been working closely with the IPSTC. From the Danish side, our engagements to IPSTC should be seen as a complementary approach to what we are doing with the East African Standby Force and the Kenyan Navy.
UNDP has enjoyed a long and solid relationship with the International Peace Support Training Center since inception. As a result of that long-standing partnership, we hold a seat in the Joint Control Board of the IPSTC, which allows us to engage in the governance of this state-of-the-art institution. And we have invested quite considerably in building the institution, developing its course content, delivering policy and evidence-based research products over the 12 years of our engagement.
Maritime security is very essential requirements for any country's independence and economic prosperities. Mombasa and other coastal areas are gateway not only for Kenya, but also other landlocked countries in this region. So IPST has been doing excellent job for the purpose of enhancing the capacities of the African soldiers and the students for the same, the purpose of peace and security on this continent.
IPSTC must continue to remain seized with the changing nature of conflict. As you are aware, conflict is very dynamic. We are finding that the world has to deal more with internal conflict, and this internal conflict means that the belligerents within the countries are not easily defined. Civilians are being targeted more and more. Atrocities are being committed against communities. Sexual and gender-based violence is on the increase. A lot of displacement of populations is taking place in many countries.
Environmental issues that are critical. And when I sit back, I see IPSTC as an institution that should play a major role in linking environmental issues with peacekeeping. Because if you consider that there are close to over 100,000 peacekeepers across the globe, the impact these peacekeepers can have in facilitating the discourse of climate change would be great.
The IPSTC is a significant force enabler for any peace support operation, not for the region, but globally. And it has cut itself an impressive brand, which I wish will be maintained into the future. Its value is great for the United Nations agenda of maintaining international peace and security.